Hi there, in this lesson we're going to look at changing percentages into decimals and fractions, and backwards and forwards between the two. So what we have to remember here is fractions and decimals and percentages are all one and the same thing. Like a half is the same as 50%, and that's the same as 0.5. These are all different ways of writing the same thing in maths, and it's important to be able to jump between the different steps. So what I've done here is I've got a table, and I'm going to look at how to get from percentages to decimals to fractions within the table. So the first thing I'm going to look at is the 25%. You're allowed a calculator in this exercise, so I'm going to get my calculator ready. So we'll start with the 25%. Now 25% we should know is 25 out of 100. Now some of you will know that's a quarter, but to write it as a fraction, you can just write 25 out of 100 and then simplify the fraction down. What I mean by that is divide the top and the bottom by the same thing. You're trying to get as low as possible. So you can divide the top by 25 and the bottom by 25 and you would get a quarter. Now a quarter or a percentage is a decimal. Well, we've got 25 divided by 100 here, and that's all you need to do. 25 divided by 100, and that will turn it into a decimal, which is 0.25. So that's the easiest way to take it. Is 25 divided by 100 will get you into a decimal. If that was 15%, you'd do 15 divided by 100 and it would give you 0.15 and so on. So in this example here, we've been given 0.20. So someone automatically might think, oh, I know that's 20% from this kind of process. If you had to type it into the calculator, it would be timesing by 100 this time to go back to this. So it would give me 20. And to write it as a fraction, it's just 20 over 100. But you can simplify that down because the top divides by 20 and so does the bottom, so it becomes a fifth. And we already know that 20% goes into 105 times, so the fraction is a fifth. This one here, we're starting with the fraction first, so 10 over 100. Well, we should know that 10 over 100 is 10%, so I could put that in there. And that's a tenth. And again, if you divide 10 by 100, you're going to get 0.10. It might pop up to be 0.1 in the calculator, but you can put either 0.1 or 0.10. Sometimes this makes more sense. 4% is 4 divided by 100. Again, if you want to type it into a calculator, 4 divided by 100. Some of you might know the answer already, but 0.04. Then to make it a fraction, just put 4 over 100 and then simplify it. So you could half the top and the bottom, they give you 2 out of 50, half it again, and 1 out of 25, you're done. Okay, right, let's look at some calculator work that's coming up in the exercise. So basically what we're going to be given is fractions, and we want you to turn it into decimals and then percentages. So the first one here is 3 over 50 as a fraction. Now to change that into a decimal, just do the divide in your calculator. 3 divided by 50. This wee line in maths means divide. So 3 divided by 50 equals 0.06. And then to turn that into a percentage, just times it by 100. Or some of you might know it's 6% already. Now incidentally, if you doubled up 3 out of 50 to get 6 out of 100, you would know it was 6%. That would be a good way to do it without a calculator in this case. It doesn't work with some of the other ones, but it certainly works here. Okay, so 3/4, if we do 3 divided by 4, that will turn into 0.75. And then if you take your 0.75 and you times it by 100, you're going to get 75%. Okay, last one here, we've got 6 divided by 60. So let's do it in the calculator. 6 divided by 60 gives you 0.1. Now it's important to understand when you times that by 100, it's not 1%. So if you times it by 100 in your calculator, it gives you 10%. Okay, so 0.1 is in fact 10%. If you were going for 1%, you would do 1 divided by 100, and that's going to look like 0.01. Okay, so finally what we'll do is we'll have a wee look at an idea that's really kind of common in terms of like working out what test scores are and turning them into percentages, something I do all the time. So imagine you scored 26 out of 40 in a test. It would probably look like this at the top of the page. Now what you can do to turn this into a percentage, just do what we did before, turn it into a decimal, 26 divided by 40, and then just times it by 100 and you'll get 65%. So dividing the two numbers and then times them by 100 will turn any kind of test score into a percentage. Well, if I look at 3 examples here, I've got Ronald McDonald, Barbie and Ken, each scoring different scores out of 60. So Ronald, he was kind of middling, wasn't he? Just a bit over halfway. So if we're trying to turn that into a percent, just do 33 divided by 60 and then times it by 100. And if you turn that into your calculator, you should get 55%, again, just over halfway. Barbie didn't do so well. She got 7 out of 60, so just 7 divided by 60 times 100. This would be your working for this. And then we get 11.6 in the calculator. Now, what you'll notice when your teachers give you test scores, it's usually to the nearest whole number. We never give you decimal percentages, so just round it up to 12%. And Ken, he did the best. He got 57 out of 60. So 57 divided by 60 times 100, you'll get an answer of 95%.